Curry was on the bench for Philadelphia's game against Brooklyn last night. The next, he wasn't. Rumors began flying, and by postgame, they were confirmed. Curry had been removed because a positive COVID test had come back mid-game. So yeah, dramatic. And because it played out in front of the cameras, it spawned an avalanche of questions. Should all the Sixers quarantine now? Should the Nets game against Memphis tonight be canceled? Are we wiping the next 2 weeks of Philadelphia's schedule off the board? Well, here are your answers. No, no, and also no. The league is not shutting down for Curry's positive tests, much like the league did not shut down for the 4 other positive tests it announced just a few hours earlier in the day as part of the league's routine weekly update. As Adam Silver said multiple times before the season started, positive tests are expected outside a bubble. So with Curry, just like the others across the league who've tested positive in the past month, now is when the protocols kick in. As we speak, the NBA's team of scientists is holding contact tracing interviews with the Sixers. And here's what they're looking for. Was anyone else on the team in a small indoor space with Curry for more than 15 minutes without a mask? So if Curry played video games with someone in a hotel room without a mask on, that would count as a close contact, and that person would have to self-isolate for up to 7 days, depending on the level of contact and the sick person's viral load at the time. For example, when several Rockets players got haircuts in a player's apartment, and shortly afterward, Kenyon Martin Jr. tested positive, the other players, including John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, had to isolate and miss games, even though they never ended up testing positive themselves. And here's another example. Just today, the Celtics announced 3 of their players are going to have to sit the next few games due to contact tracing. Or this one, last night, Alex Caruso returned to the Lakers lineup after missing 5 games due to contact tracing. Alex said the protocol had kicked in because a friend who had stopped by his house after Christmas had ended up testing positive. So he had to sit, even though he never ended up testing positive himself. So let's get back to Seth Curry. How much is contact tracing going to affect the rest of the Sixers? The answer is probably some, but not the whole team. For example, the NBA's health experts say that sitting in a team meeting with masks and distancing, not a close contact. And here's the key one. Playing in an NBA game with or against someone who ends up being positive is usually not considered a close contact either. How? Well, league doctors look at the same second spectrum on-court tracking that scouts use. And so far, they've found it's extremely rare for any one player to be in close proximity to another player for a full 15 minutes, even just cumulatively over the course of a game. There are exceptions to that, of course, which is why they double-check that data, as well as practice facilities, security cameras, and the new tracking devices that players will be required to wear for team activities starting tomorrow. And they also, of course, check test results. Every NBA player and every staff member around them regularly gets daily testing, which means Seth Curry must have tested negative the day before yesterday. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been on the bench last night. And on game days, players get double tested. The first is a rapid test, which Curry presumably also passed yesterday morning. The second is another PCR test, which usually takes around 8 to 10 hours to come back. Clearly, that's the one that came back positive, which led to, that mid-game removal last night. It was certainly jolting to see, but it's not something that's going to shut down the league. Not in this very strange season, where the drama is not only confined to the court. And I do want to now welcome in ESPN senior writer Zach Lowe. Zach, now that we're faced with the realities of playing professional basketball during a pandemic, do you think the league is going to be able to manage these types of situations without a huge impact on the schedule?
This is what everybody signed up for when we left the bubble. I mean, think about this. 6 months ago or whatever, the league was trying with the medical review board to basically unilaterally bar higher risk people from even going to the bubble, including older coaches. And now we've all decided, we're all going to get on planes and stay in hotels and play basketball. This is life. This is going to continue to happen, especially after the holidays. And Rachel, you mentioned this. The team that people haven't been talking about, we're talking about the Sixers and the Nets and future games being postponed. I do think things like that are going to happen throughout the season. I haven't heard a lot of talk about the Wizards, who played against Seth Curry. And you mentioned the stuff about how a game is not necessarily considered close proximity. I mean, I guess I still feel like what we know about this virus is outweighed by what we don't know. So do I believe that? I'm not sure. But the Wizards played Seth Curry the night before. As you said, presumably he passed. He was negative at a point of contact rapid test.